I appreciate that. Yeah. And no, it's been a pleasure to get to share the platform the couple times that we have. And you mentioned I've gotten to handle you at meets. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but that one meet, was that your first 600-pound deadlift that we loaded up and
Yeah,
went?
that day was the day that I fell in love with powerlifting. Like, yes, I had a great time, great
Really?
experience going to my first meet. I met some cool people. I placed, third. I think I totaled 1,200 flat as at my first meet is I think then it was an 83 kilo lifter. And, but it was
Mm-hmm.
the one at Viking Performance in Morgantown where you handled me, and we were shooting for, I believe it was a national qualifying total, and uh,
Mm-hmm.
everything went everything went great on the squat, but I missed my last bench, and then that caused us to have
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
to call a couple of audibles, not only because I failed my third bench, but because um, I think we looked up the wrong qualifying totals. At first, we looked up the equipped qualifying totals instead, which is
Yep.
insane that the equipped was lower, because I just feel like equipped powerlifting, everything should be higher, but I don't know anything about that stuff. So,
I
but,
agree. Yeah. I don't know how that happened.
but man, like, just again, like this definitively was the day, the moment where I fell in love not only with powerlifting but the community and just everything about the sport, because like it was just a beautiful moment where you and I are getting ready for deadlift. I got to backtrack just a couple steps here. After that third bench that I missed,
Yep.
I was feeling a little dejected,
Yeah.
and I was feeling a little bit of fatigued, and you were like, "I'll be back." Like, just like a straight, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, "I'll be back." And so you leave
Yep.
and come back, uh, I don't know, however many minutes later, in with the golden elixir yellow mustard. And you're like, you just walk in and you hand it to me and you go, "I'll match you shot for shot." And like, you're not even like lifting, you know what I mean? And I, I remember like, okay, whatever
Yep.
you say. And we just start taking shots of mustard, and like the crowd around us just start, like, they stopped paying attention to the people lifting, and they started paying attention to the two psychopaths taking shots of mustard. And and then I ended up pulling a deadlift that I didn't even had in me on that day. Like, we walked back for deadlifts, and um, you had lowered my opener by, like, I don't know, almost 50 pounds, I think. And you were just like,
Yeah, it was a decent amount.
don't even worry about what's on the bar. Just go out and pull it. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. You also threatened to do some sort of bodily harm to me because I kept doing more than one rep on my warm ups. Because I've been like a rep guy. Like, I've had to, like,
Yeah.
just like, you're. I wish I remember what you said to me, but it was some sort of like tasteful threat of violence. And but I do the first dead,
Yeah.
I do the first deadlift, and it smoked it. Did the second one, and I'm glad I didn't watch that deadlift
Mm-hmm.
back in real time, because it moved good, but it didn't move great. And after the second
Yeah.
deadlift, you're just like, "Come here," and like we walked outside, and we had that, like, that like good handed coaching moment where you're like, you know, you've already won your weight class, you know, you've won there, but if you
Mm-hmm.
want to hit this total, you have to pull 600. And I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, like, because like we did the whole like baby powder thing on like the legs and stuff. That was the first time I've ever done that for a deadlift, and it was weird. Like, you know how
Yeah.
sometimes I'm about to do, because like I know you told me that the nerves never really go away when it comes to your meets and stuff, and I don't know about you, but when you're doing some
Oh,
heavy
100%. Yeah.
when you're doing heavy training, or you're about to do this like max effort set or this PR set or whatever you want to call it, like, you know, the nerves are always there. And that's like another thing that people probably like who don't do this, they don't see. Like, you know, yeah, you're nervous because you're about to try something you've never done before, and you know, you're going to have to be mentally, physically, emotionally, hell, sometimes spiritually locked in to be able to get everything to move the way you want it to, and you have to like shake off those nerves to get the job done. But in that moment, I was overcome with this sense of, I don't want to call it confidence, but just calm. Like the best way to describe it was just
Mm-hmm.
calm. Like I wanted to keep myself quote unquote aroused to a point to where like the CNS is ready to go, you know, everything's ready to fire. But I just kept saying in my
Yeah.
head, like, you know, if you ever want to be a champion at this, like, this is where it starts. It's you picking this weight up right here, right now.
Yeah.
Like, if you were Tristan, what would Tristan do? And he would go out and he would pick this weight up. And then I'm like, it's like, oh, I think I was up next. And like, that's when the nerves hit me. And the nerves hit me like a truck. But what the nerves didn't have
Mm-hmm.
was a Tristan. And this is another story I tell people is you're like, okay, when they call your name, do you want me to hit you? And I'm like, yes. And oh my God. So like they you know, they say, you know, bars loaded, and so I do the ammonia, and I'm walking out, and you just bear paw just like right in like the center of my back, and I felt it reverberate through my body, and all the nerves just turned off. Like, you hit me, I'm like, all right, let's go. Like, I'm pretty sure like you almost punched me out from behind the curtain, and like, and then I picked it up, and that was, to this day, my favorite like memory of a deadlift, like my favorite deadlift that I've done. And actually, I just got a memory not too long ago on, I think it was like Facebook, about hitting that back in that was July of 2018 was when that happened.
Wow, it's hard to believe. It's been 5 years.
I know, I know, and I'm I'm knocking on that door to 700, and like I know that I'm close. I just have to keep, you know, doing the little things, and keeping things, you know,
Mm-hmm.
give momentum. You know, obviously you've seen that I have switched to the cheater deadlift. So that is obviously 100% of the reason why what I'm doing now. Um, honestly though, man, switching to sumo was like, it wasn't planned. Because